Hello and welcome. I'm excited to introduce today Amy, the COO of Webgains. With 9 years of affiliate marketing experience across global markets, Amy has built up a large network of relationships, having worked with influential publishers, advertisers and agencies alike. Now at Webgains, acting as COO, Amy is responsible for leading key global functions including product, business intelligence, HR, as well as client success.
Hi, I'm Ami Spencer and I'm COO at Webgains, and today I'm going to be discussing some of the key considerations around digital transformation and the use of data. I'll be looking at recent trends which are set to accelerate digital change across businesses, as well as what this means for you and your careers. So to start with though, I'm going to rather predictably begin by looking at a definition of digital transformation at a business level. There's a huge amount of content out there on this topic, but I've taken a few different quotes to create this statement, which I feel sums up digital transformation. So digital transformation is the integration of digital technology into different areas of your business, which fundamentally change how you operate and deliver value to your customers. It's also a cultural change that requires organisations to continually challenge the status quo and encourages people to take risks, fail fast and learn. Digital transformation can affect all areas of your business, and for it to be successful, focusing on the cultural impact is as equally important. People need to believe in and embrace digital transformation in order for it to be successful. And so whilst I'm going to be talking about the use of data, we also shouldn't forget what it means for our people. So unlocking success in digital transformation and the challenges surrounding it have been heavily explored in recent years. One of the most insightful research projects into this topic was commissioned by McKinsey at the end of 2018. They released a large research paper which surveyed companies from across the globe to understand the key successes to digital transformation and also the difficulties in those change efforts. As new technologies continue to shape our industries, more companies are pursuing large-scale change efforts to maximise new opportunities and also keep up with their competition. Although in this report they acknowledge a fairly high failure rate, they found that those who could successfully deliver this change were the companies that would go on to see growth and in many cases higher profits. The successful respondents were also those who focused on the following 5 categories as part of their transformation: capability building, leadership, empowering workers, and upgrading tools and communication. And it was these companies that would go on to also deploy more technologies than others do at a faster rate, and also use technologies such as AI and ML techniques. And in today's volatile environment, I would say that this is particularly important in order to manage change. The most commonly cited objective for digital transformation was digitalizing the organization's operating model, which could either involve multiple business units or the entire company. And so in their very nature, digital transformations tend to be wide in scope. And companies that have gone through this change are more likely to use cloud-based services, mobile, internet tech, big data, Internet of Things, design thinking and AI. And if this is a topic that's interesting to you, I'd really recommend reading this paper. So as technology continues to shape our world, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge some of the most notable trends we're seeing at the moment which affect digital transformation. And it would be odd for me to go through this presentation without acknowledging the impact of COVID on businesses and the increased pressure it's placed on us to accelerate our digital goals in order to help cope with the changes that we faced in our lives. An obvious change for most of us was the increased pressure to communicate digitally and for our teams to be able to operate and collaborate virtually during the pandemic. In addition to this, there's also been a number of other trends that we continue to see as a driver of digital change. And Forbes recently cited these points as some of the top digital transformation trends to watch out for. So firstly, the acceleration of connectivity, which affects how we communicate. Secondly, how digital transformation can drive smarter operations through the use of AI and ML. And thirdly, and very importantly, the use of data intelligence and analytics. And these are three chunky topics which I'm going to explore in a bit more detail. So, connectivity is likely to continue to accelerate, and we want to be connected everywhere, and we want to be able to connect quickly. I think COVID also really highlighted this need. One of the key developments that supports this is 5G and getting faster connectivity at home. This is a demand that's been intensified as people have shifted to work from home. And the GSMA, they are the industry's organisation that represents the interests of mobile network operators worldwide, predicts that 5G coverage will continue to be rolled out. And by 2025, they say the coverage will cover one third of the world's population. For some, this is a controversial topic though, and due to the implications on the environment and health reasons, there's some uncertainty around what will happen. Outside of 5G, faster Wi-Fi and new devices that handle Wi-Fi 6 are also expected to be released later on this year, which will also support the infrastructure behind digital operations. So Wi-Fi 6 is pipped to help with speed and efficiency, and different countries are getting behind this movement, including the Federal Communication Commission in the US and also Ofcom in the UK. And they have laid out their plans to expand Wi-Fi into the 6 gigahertz band. This acceleration of connectivity across the globe means that companies will more easily be able to support employees to work remotely and also communicate globally with clients or prospects. So the second trend I wanted to talk about today, and something that I expect will continue to be a bigger talking point, is smarter operations through AI and ML. Conversations around this are not new, and these have been buzzwords within the industry for quite some time. But now more businesses are turning to this to improve their operations and admin-heavy workflows. During Transform, we've also heard from other speakers such as Humphrey Schill, who's highlighted the importance of data modelling and its impact. And I'm also sure some of the other speakers would have touched on these newer technologies. At Webgains, we have an internal saying of less hands, more brains, which underpins what this is all about. Taking the weight out of heavy admin tasks which stop our teams from being creative or strategic. It enables people to use their brains more, which is obviously what we want. It's also fundamental to a network's proposition, connecting affiliates to advertisers. And at Webgains, we've recently launched our new affiliate discovery tool. This is an AI-powered search tool that allows us to make smarter recommendations and therefore connections between our partners. We have essentially transformed the way in which this process works for us. Our unique technology analyzes over 100 different data points to select the publishers that will work hard to find customers for our brands. This technology is important for our clients as it considers their product mix at a particular point in time. It looks at what's happening in the marketplace and trends we're seeing in the vertical. And it really takes the emotion and a lot of time out of this process, allowing us to work in a much more data-driven way. So the final trend that I wanted to mention is the use of data in driving digital transformation. There's a lot of research in the marketplace that's supporting the argument that companies that invest more heavily in analytics and business intelligence platforms are those who don't fall behind. They are the companies that can be quick to react to trends, take proactive approach to optimizing future opportunities, and so on. And for a network like Webgains, business intelligence and taking an analytical approach to our data is fundamental. Every day we crunch thousands of pieces of data. To put it into perspective, we have over 1,800 merchants trading up to 30 million products who are all working with hundreds of affiliates. And this drives millions of clicks. So it's a lot for one person's brain to handle, and too much. In order to be able to make sense of it all and make the right decisions, it's only sensible for us to use software available to help track the trends and organize this. This insight helps inform business strategies and supports our ideas. It gives us confidence in our decisions and how we work, and it's also an important part in identifying where the biggest opportunities are in the different markets that we operate. But it's not always easy to use data, and it does require companies to make an investment, and whether that's into business intelligence and resource or platforms or both, it can take time to see the benefits. And we have to ask ourselves, are we asking the right questions of the data? Are we prepared to make changes based on what this data is telling us? But there are many benefits. For example, during COVID, an incredibly unsettling and uncertain time, we were quickly able to identify trending categories on our network so we could support publishers that needed our help. In order to achieve this with such a large data set, our AI and ML teams were instructed to categorize and organize this data using smart technologies so we could quickly analyze and make sense of it. And well, for Webgains, this has meant a number of things. It's meant better visibility on trending programs, affiliates, categories. It's also helped us identify gaps and opportunities to develop. And it's even helped drive new product features such as our product finder tool, which is currently in beta, and also affiliate discovery, which I previously mentioned. So I've talked a little bit about digital transformation and the trends that we're seeing. I now wanted to bring this back to an important point, which is the so what. What does this mean for companies, and what does this mean for you? Well, for companies, digital transformation means purpose-driven, intelligent innovation that requires a longer focus than just short-term profits. So it requires companies to have a longer-term vision that they are striving for. There is a real need to balance profit with purpose, and this process is not easy, and it can also disrupt short-term revenues. I mentioned that digital transformation is also not just about changing operational processes, it's also a cultural change, and this can be incredibly hard to handle. Business leaders should establish a clear change story. So what is the business case for making all of these changes? It's the why are we doing this? It's the story behind it. Senior managers should also encourage all employees to challenge old ways of working, to generate ideas, and to learn from failures. They also need to make sure that they are taking responsibility, and that goals also align with transformational goals. It all needs to come together. But as we saw earlier in the research paper by McKinsey, companies who invested in this process were the ones who were able to quickly take advantage of new opportunities, and they were the ones who could disrupt and innovate within their channel. So there's no shortages of companies out there who have gone through digital change in recent years, and each story is very different. I wanted to share 3 examples of digital change from companies that you'll be familiar with who have gone through this journey. So Firstly, Lego, which is also a client of ours, is a great example of digital transformation. They've been around for a long time, 1932 to be exact, and after a period of expansion during the 70s and 80s, they started to suffer. Profits were struggling and they needed to do something quite drastic to get back on track and to keep up with competition who were entering into their vertical. So they restructured, they went through a period of transformation to maximize new revenue streams that they could identify. One of the most successful areas they focused on included online and digital investments, expanding their portfolio to include completely new areas such as the Lego movies, mobile games and apps. And this really helped position Lego as the strong brand it is today, and as the world's largest toy maker by both revenue and profits. And despite the challenges seen during COVID, Lego were able to still see a huge growth across Europe, Asia and the US. And their investments into their product portfolio, e-commerce and their brand has helped them to become more resilient and not rely on their stores during lockdown. So the second example that I wanted to talk about also highlights how you can be creative and how digital transformation can affect behaviour in a completely new way. Specsavers, I think, actually did this quite well through their launch of their frame styling technology. Their virtual try-on technology uses facial analysis to scan your face, shape and features and suggests glasses for you based on this. It basically takes the guessing work out of buying glasses. And I think this highlights quite nicely how technology can support the human side of customer service. It helps consumers with their decision making and encourages purchases, which effectively drives more revenue. This type of technology, I'm sure, will also help with the challenges around social distancing and hygiene in stores, as it avoids the needs for customers to physically try on lots of pairs of glasses and then the cleaning processes that would follow that. So I think it's a really nice example. And thirdly, I wanted to talk about Under Armour. So they operate in an incredibly competitive vertical, the sports clothing wear. And they wanted to become much more than an athletic clothing company. They wanted to be the world's largest digital fitness brand. So in 2013, they acquired MapMyFitness and focused on introducing their own connected fitness platform, which they use to track, analyze, and identify health and fitness trends. They were also able to make use of this data to support different marketing efforts in different markets. And this allowed them to make decisions ahead of competitors and also align to the latest fitness trends that they were seeing in the industry. So these are examples from some of the biggest name brands who have successfully transformed operations through new technologies. But there are also plenty of smaller business examples which also show great innovation. And I'm going to finish today by talking about digital transformation and you. You are, after all, the most valuable form of intelligence in this digital arena. The future isn't just digital, it's also human, it's people, it's you. And I wanted to end today on this point as I think it's a really important one. We need to be empowering leaders who can embrace what it means to operate through digital change. What does leadership actually look like in this environment? What kind of leaders do we need in businesses to support this type of transformation? And we need to consider what our expectations are of our teams during this transitional period of digital change. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with Seth Godin, who is a best-selling business author and entrepreneur known in marketing. And Seth says, IT leaders often fall short in the art of persuasion. To win over colleagues and enact impactful business change, they need to go beyond a reliance on data and start telling stories that fire the imagination. And I think this is a really powerful point. You know, how do we develop those softer skill sets to support with digital transformations? And this is equally as important as how we actually interrogate our data. So how are we developing our influential skills? How are we developing how we persuade others? You know, what about conversational skill sets and empowering other people to take responsibilities of new ideas? All of these softer qualities will affect how others buy into your vision and the journey of digital transformation. Of course, there are many other traits of leaders who can drive digital transformation, but I think this is an important one to finish with. So in summary, and this is a pretty compelling reason to acknowledge the power of digital transformation, companies that invest more in new technology make more money. And obviously it's not always that easy, and there are many challenges to effective digital change, but it's an important thing to come back to. We know it requires a number of factors to help ensure its success, and obviously I've spoken about some of them today. So the use of data, how are we asking the right, are we asking the right questions of our data? It also requires us and requires businesses to have the right digital savvy leaders in place who can drive this change. And it requires us to empower our people to work and communicate in new ways. But companies who strive for this change and get it right will have a much higher chance of increased performance, accelerated growth, and a business that is more likely to be able to cope in the testing times that we find ourselves in today. So thank you for listening. If you'd like to discuss anything that I've mentioned in today's presentation, please do reach out to me. I've included my details here, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.